PASSER calls.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to week 17 of Roughing the Passer season 2. Of course, the end of the regular season of our season 2. As always, the DH here with Mr. Newman. What's going on, John?
What's up, man? I can't even get picks right when I pick against my own team. So I think the moral of the story this year was apparently listen to Drew and not John. And last year was the other way around. So next year apparently will be my year again. It's cyclic.
Yeah.
So
yeah, hey, I'll take it. It ended up being a solid year. I'll take a win.
Man, I really nosedive. I mean, if we had sound effects, you can make that sound effect when the plane's going down. Like, that was me. So, what are you gonna do? You know?
Yep. Well, as I said, everybody, welcome to the show. We've got the link right there. I'm going to post it up here in the comments, as always. Please call in, join the show. As always, any questions, comments, or anything you guys have about today's game, please call in and let us know. But John, I guess we'll jump right into the scores. Let me get them up here for you. It was a very interesting week in football. I'll say that. I'm just going to leave it at interesting, and I'll let you use any other adjectives you'd like to describe.
I mean, you know, it's like any week 17, right, in the NFL season. Some teams had to win to get in. Some teams not only needed to win, but they needed help. And, you know, so there's some teams that when the music stops today are not getting in. And the game that's on right now is going to determine who's winning the NFC East. Someone has to win. It's a division no one wants to win. They're going to wait to the very last minute to figure out who that team's going to be.
Yeah, and, you know, the NFL, they upped the amount of teams that get in this year to 7. And so that obviously has made a lot of these games that would normally be meaningless actually have a little bit of importance to them. For God's sakes, the NFL had to make it to 7 teams just so the Browns could get in. And they still needed to win today. But there were some interesting games, and we'll go through the list here real quick, starting with the Patriots beating the Jets 28-14. And, of course, the big news coming out of that game just broke a couple minutes ago that Adam Gase is the first person of Black Monday, John, that's going to lose his job.
They didn't even give him the dignity of making it to Black Monday. I
didn't even get a chance to put him on the list. I wanted to keep a running tally of who actually gets fired.
Soon as the clock read 0, the referee handed him a note from Woody Johnson. Right on the field, it says, "Hey, this is from Woody. You're fired." So.
I'm pretty sure he knew. I'm pretty sure he knew it was coming. Before today. You would have to imagine, but Marlon, I'll put it up there. What's going on, buddy? The Eagles I think they're trying to win the football game. They're doing something.
They're playing spoiler. I mean, this is, listen, anytime you can beat, you said this last week, I believe. Anytime you can beat a division rival and cost them a playoff spot when you're not going, that's, in a sense, that's your playoff game. And so the Eagles
fans might not get it. Fans might not get it, but I guarantee you everybody on that offense and defense wants to beat the shit out of those guys. I mean, today you would have loved to have beaten the Browns and knocked them out of the playoffs with your backup quarterback.
Yeah, it looked like they had an outside shot. Yeah. We had the JV versus varsity. JV almost won. So
definitely interesting games as we go throughout the scoreboard. But I'll pull the scores back up here. You also had the Bills destroying the Dolphins and Tua 56-26. The Giants beating the Cowboys in the NFC East 23-19. The Browns, as I said, beating the Steelers, barely hanging on 24-22. Ravens mauling the Bengals, racking up over 3,000 rushing yards on the year. Just absurd. 38-3. Colts beating the Jags 28-14. Titans needed some late game heroics from Derrick Henry, but do beat the Texans 41-38. The Rams somehow beat the Cardinals 18-17. Some of these games were so bad, like the one I'm about to say, I turned them off, like the Saints and the Panthers 33-7. Probably Drew Brees' final regular season game, but we'll get back to that in a minute. Packers 35-16 over the Bears. Chargers beat the Chiefs 38-21. Seahawks over the 49ers 26-23. Raiders beat the Broncos 32-31. And with, about a minute left in the first half, the Eagles are up on Washington. And finally, the leading quarterback in passing yards for the Eagles is a quarterback. It only took till almost halftime. But finally, Jalen Hurts is the leader and not a wide receiver.
Yeah, somebody's, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. That we can do a whole show on the West Church deal.
Yeah.
I don't plan on it, but
Nope.
that's I'll say this: we haven't even played the playoffs yet, Drew.
Yeah.
It's going to be one heck of an offseason again.
It is.
With quarterbacks changing addresses and the draft with more quarterbacks coming in, and just a crazy season. You add in the pandemic. And it's just, it's insane stuff. So
it's going to be interesting, man, because you've got teams like the Jets who, as I said, fired their head coach today. Oh, yeah. Buccaneers also beat the Falcons 44-27, and the Vikings beat the Lions. Oh, my. But, you had Adam Gase fired in the Jets game, but you've got a Jets team that has Sam Darnold coming up on an important contract, the number 2 overall pick. I mean, that's a lot of stock. If they want to stick with Sam Darnold and the new coach, you can. You can trade that number 2 pick. I expect them to probably move on from Darnold and keep that 2 pick unless one of these teams really – I don't know. I can kind of see John Gruden jumping in right here because this is where I see they can save $20 million by cutting Derek Carr. And so I actually think that this is probably when Gruden gets his guy, so to speak. Probably in this draft. So I could see them maybe making a run at number 2. And Marlon, I could see that as the next Jets head coach. Eric Bieniemy is going to be.
Yeah, he's definitely in the list, right? And going back to the Jets with Darnold, they got a decision, like you said, they can keep him. And trade the pick most likely if they keep Darnold.
Yeah.
And then, if they go quarterback, I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to be there. So now you got, Zach Wilson, you got, Justin Fields, who actually had a bad year until this last game.
Exactly.
And he looked like an NFL quarterback. There's a lot of ifs. There's a lot of ifs with this quarterback draft.
Yes.
Zach Wilson's got some entitlement issues. If you're reading the scouting report, like there after Lawrence, and he didn't play great against Ohio State. So you got a lot of. Lawrence is probably the surest thing out of this quarterback class. And the problem with the Jets, if they trade Darnold, whoever trades for Darnold, literally right away has to give him a new contract.
Yep.
Because he's in his last year deal. You're not going to trade a bunch of assets for him and then lose him after a year. So whoever gets him better believe in him. And, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I have a feeling there's a bigger market for a lot of these quarterbacks than people think because, we talk about it on this show all the time, man. You and me grew up watching football. My heyday was like the 90s and the early 2000s. And that is, a rookie quarterback wasn't supposed to come in and do anything on his rookie deal. But now these kids are expected to right away because you have people like Mahomes. You have like Herbert that are jumping in and looking solid. When I think quarterbacks like Tua, for example, had no business playing this year. And I think would have been a lot better had he come in next year. But you see these coaches I mean, almost having questions for their job before they even get to trot out the team they want. They have no offensive line to protect him down in Miami. It's a good team. They're building. They're getting a lot better. The defense is good. The division's weaker, so that helps. But, I mean, I just don't think he, for example, I'm just using him as an example here, is one of those quarterbacks like I think you're going to see in the upcoming draft, which are just they need some time. A lot of these kids are going to need a lot of time, especially with this really weird 2020 year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm older than you two. I remember Drew quarterbacks get drafted. It'd be 3-4 years before they saw the field. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, if the incumbent in front of them just kept playing well, they'd wind up just trading the rookie they drafted. Brett Favre comes to mind. Look how long Steve Young had to wait behind Montana. They're both Hall of Famers, and so it's a different game now. As a matter of fact, if you get drafted in the first round, you're expected to play right away. And if you don't, they're already, starting to talk about whether you're a bust or not. That's happening to Tua right now, and the sample size is small. And I'll throw myself under the bus. I'm starting to be in that camp. So it's what have you done for me lately? And lately is like today. So
well, I mean, with what I'm seeing with Tua, I mean, I'm just going to stay on this example for a little bit today because I expected him to play a little better than he did, obviously. But I don't know. I've got a lot of concerns for this, and it reminds me of a lot of these quarterbacks coming up in this upcoming draft. But I do think this offseason, you are going to see so many teams taking new quarterbacks, so many quarterbacks moving around. I think Cam Newton's probably going to a different team, Gardner Minshew, a different team, Derek Carr, Sam Darnold. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So a lot of shakeup. But before we dive into our game balls and goats for the week, I wanted to ask you one question about a game today. And I mentioned it briefly, but the Saints did destroy the Panthers today. They started leaking some reports out this week that it was probably Drew Brees' last regular season game and that he is signed on to announce, I guess it's Notre Dame football next year.
I knew he was going into broadcast, and I thought it would be, I'll be honest with you, I thought it'd be the NFL.
So did I. I thought it would too. Apparently he's already locked up a job in broadcasting. He will be doing Notre Dame games, and they expect him to be calling the Purdue one here in September. So it does look like this is probably going to be Drew Brees' last year, which is a little shocking to me.
Yeah, well, he announced it before the season started. And then what you heard was, well, maybe with the pandemic, if he misses some games with an injury, which actually did happen with the broken ribs,
11 ribs,
that he would maybe, put retirement off for a year. But apparently he is going to retire. And, I give him credit. I appreciate guys who kind of stick by what they say. We see a lot of guys say one thing and do another. So kudos to him. Let's be real. While he's still a good quarterback, he's not the same guy as a younger version of himself. I mean, that just goes without saying. And watching him play this year, the long ball wasn't there. And they got long ball receivers with Michael Thomas and whatnot. And so I guess the question there too is do you stay with Taysom Hill, Jameis? Do you get one of these other guys that are going to be on the move? A Carson Wentz, a Sam Darnold, a Gardner Minshew. I think there's going to be 10 QBs. Cam Newton. I think there's going to be 10 QBs that are going to have different jerseys on next year. Not all starters either. I mean, somebody's going to change teams as a backup, one play away, one injury away from seeing the field.
And some of these guys will probably go and mentor another young quarterback that gets drafted. They'll probably get stuck in the same exact spot. Someone like Foles, Minshew. I don't think there's going to be as big of a market this year for them because look at everything around you. And if you're unsure about any of these quarterbacks, the film was right there on every single one of them why you shouldn't take them. But there's also some film on what they can do. And we've seen what a lot of these guys can do, and they can play good. It's interesting to see when you get some of these quarterbacks under different coaches. But I look at someone like a Carson Wentz, dude, tailor-made to follow Drew Brees up in New Orleans. Yeah. Like, I think that is a situation where if I'm him, that's where I'm pushing to go. I don't know if they would trade to get him.
Well, you mentioned New England. New England, I think, is even a better fit. System sort of, as long as he can adjust to the system. The bottom line with Carson is how bad does he want to get out of Philly? Because he's going to have to renegotiate that deal for a new team to take him on. And I've heard rumblings that he's now talking about doing that. And so we'll see. This is like a soap opera. The offseason is going to be so interesting each day. We're going to hear reports coming out. Some are going to be true. Some are going to be who knows what. And it's going to be a lot of storylines and, coaches and the draft and guys changing teams. And, you mentioned Gardner Minshew. I'll take him in Pittsburgh as a backup. He's better probably than anybody we have after Ben. We can even maybe argue the late season Ben he might be better than that guy at this point. So many storylines. Even with Roethlisberger, he's got a $25 million contract with a team option. The Steelers could. I don't see it happening. They're pretty loyal to a fault, but that could get ugly there, where the Steelers say, you know what, we love you. You're the franchise. You're going to hold a lot of records, but we can't justify paying you $25 million. You can't go vertical anymore. We saw a little bit today, and I don't like Mason Rudolph, and I think he's still terrible. But he threw the ball vertical down the field and made some plays. So that potential's there. But Roethlisberger, for whatever reason, has shortened his game up, and is only using a 7, 8, 9 iron and not taking the driver out. And so the Steelers got some decisions to make. I got a feeling, just being a fan for a long time, I can kind of guess where it's going to go, but we'll see. You just don't know. It is a business, and you never know.
Yeah, that you got that right. I don't see you guys moving on from
probably not.
I just don't see it happening. But because, like you said, you guys are loyal to a fault down there, and I haven't seen that change, and I don't see it changing anytime soon. But again, these guys, they're the ones that have film. They're the ones that are around them all year long, all off season. Yes, Rudolph was better than Chad Henne. I will 1,000% agree with you there, Martin. Once again, if that's where we're putting Mason Rudolph's ceiling, then we really need to move on.
Mason Rudolph was barely a backup. He made a couple good plays, and then he threw a bonehead interception too. That arguably you can look at and say cost them the game because they wound up scoring the touchdown. They ran it back 40 yards and then wound up scoring the touchdown. So I'm not a Mason Rudolph guy. I think we got better guys on the waiver wire that we could get. And, I joked with Jordan, my son, Drew. I'm like, we should just sign Haskins and just start him this week just to see.
Right.
Like, give him the quick cliff notes. What do we got to lose? We you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. We kind of entrenched in the slot and sign this guy. See what he does, which no kind of homework done. Yeah. And if he looks halfway competitive, then I keep him and get rid of one of the other two guys, Dobbs or Rudolph. Obviously they didn't do it. There's stuff coming out now that there's a lot of issues with him, but he's going to sign somewhere. It's just when and where and who it's going to be.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's that is going to be the fun thing to watch, and we will be following it all off season, where a lot of these quarterbacks go. But John, I guess now we'll dive into our normal segment, which of course is our game balls and goats, a week 17 / preseason. I mean, that's what it felt like today. These games were terrible. but some pretty big performers to finish up the year. So who gets your game ball and who is your GOATs?
All right, so let's go with game balls, and
Yeah.
I think we should rename the game ball the Derrick Henry Award, because we could probably give him just a game ball every week. I didn't even pick him in my 3 because it was just kind of like I'm just doing it every week. So let's give it to 3 other guys. How about Jonathan Taylor, man? I love this guy coming out of college. Kind of slow start, but really picked it up. 200, almost 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. He looks like he's going to be what I thought he might be in the NFL, which is a really good back. If he doesn't fumble the ball, which is his biggest concern, he's going to be a workhorse back for a while. Maybe in the sort of a Derrick Henry light a little bit, if you will. Staying on the running backs and staying on rookies. J.K. Dobbins, the guy I wanted the Steelers to take instead of Claypool. They still did all right, but I would have loved to have J.K. Dobbins. And, quietly, really one of the big keys of that Baltimore team. Yeah. And, as a rookie. And when the Steelers passed on him and the Ravens came up, I said, I know what they're going to do. They're gonna say, watch this, Steelers. Took Dobbins, and we're going to have to face him twice a year. Again, another rookie. The rookie running backs this year, definitely solid. And we're not even talking about them all. There's just 2. And as much as I don't like this guy anymore, he showed up today, 11 catches in Tampa Bay. Antonio Brown says, the old 80s song, right? Don't you forget about me. Yeah. Still here, right? He's still here, still playing. And today he showed he can be that elite receiver. Now the question is, does he keep his head on straight? Time will tell. So far, so good. And Tampa Bay, as much as it's crazy to say, they're definitely a contender now to come out of that NFC side and maybe be the Super Bowl representative. So those are my 3 game balls: 2 rookie running backs and a crazy veteran who's trying not to be crazy anymore.
Hey, well, maybe he's reverting to a simple mind. Ha ha ha! Boom! Gotcha.
You
I knew you'd get it eventually.
You think we set that up, folks, and we didn't. That was off the cuff.
Yeah, but Derrick Henry obviously gets a vote. I actually showed up with the East Carolina shirt on today to welcome him into the club with my boy Chris Johnson. Of course, one of the last to join the 2000 club after Adrian Peterson in 2009. But I've got, I agree with those rookie running back picks. I love them. I thought both of them played great all year long. Dobbins, of course, I said it earlier. Baltimore racked up 3,000 yards rushing, over 3,000 on the ground. Jackson had 1,000 of them. I mean, that's still 2,000 yards between your backs. Dobbins had an amazing rookie year. Finished it up nicely. I like Taylor a lot, but I'll tell you what, man, both of those, Dobbins was on my list, and there's one other guy I had today, and that's Justin Jefferson over in Minnesota. Yeah. Dude, I mean, you've got to give it to that kid. Breaks Randy Moss's rookie receiving record, most receiving yards in a season. I mean, the kid showed up, and if you can replace somebody like Diggs and actually make your offense look better when your team's a lot worse, that's really impressive by a rookie. And so Justin Jefferson, the guy I got to add to that list.
Yeah, no doubt. 9 catches today. I think 180. How about this year's rookie class? Just crazy, crazy.
Incredibly good rookie class. And I mean, I still think there's a lot of guys, skill position. And if you look at the defensive side of the ball as well, they don't get talked about it at all anymore. Defense is just ignored. But there are a ton of very good rookies that came out this year defensive-wise. And I know we get lost sometime in our game balls and goats too, talking about these guys without giving the credit to the defense when they do some of the job stopping them. But, this year's rookie class, definitely very impressive. So who you got this week for your goats?
All right, I'll start. We talked about him already. I know he's a rookie. I don't want to pick on a rookie. I think it's easy fodder. But Tua. I'm not saying they should have beat Buffalo. Buffalo is a real deal, and they did play a good percentage of their starters, but including Josh Allen. But I mean, in a must-win game, 3 picks. Did not look good. One of the picks was a pick six, a backbreaker, one that pretty much ended the ball game. And you got big players play big. He's not there yet. So he gets on, it might be a little harsh, but he's one of my goats. One of my goats today. And how about Zeke Elliott?
Yes, thank you. Number 1 on my list.
Yep. This guy is to me, I know people will argue he's still in that top tier of elite running backs in the league. Not in my book. I think, running back shelf life is 3 to 5 years on average. Even if you're elite level player, it's 5 to 7. If you're just an anomaly, then it can go double digits. Yeah. And he's kind of fallen out. And when you see these young guys like Dobbins and Jonathan Taylor playing like they're doing, and he's putting up 3 yards a carry, something's wrong. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if you slow down as you age, if he's losing a step.
Well, to me, it looks like he's thinking too much. He looks hesitant. Like he does not, dude, when he was a rookie, and you look at tape from his first 2 years compared to this year, he was taking that ball and attacking the line of scrimmage. I mean, granted, he had a much better offensive line that was making absurd holes for him. That was a legendary unit that the Cowboys were putting together that just could not win because their defense sucked. But I mean, he was running behind an incredible line and ran so violently. Yeah, I had not watched him this year at all until today, and we weren't on till 4, so they were our 1 o'clock game. And this was the first time I saw him all year, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! I'm like, they need a change of pace back for him. They need someone that can run routes, that's a threat out of the backfield to catch the ball. He
used to be a guy that would scare you when you were playing him, and he's like, there's no fear to me with him anymore. He's sort of just
lines. Go on. What were you saying? Sorry,
I was just gonna say he's just a good back. He's not a great back like we used to say about him.
You watch this game today, dude. You can go to the second half of this game, and when there's no fans in the stadium and they do a shitty job of piping in crowd noise like they did today, some of the broadcasts, you can really hear the sidelines this year. And you could hear the Giants today walking up to the line of scrimmage and telling him, you're fucked. Like telling him, we got you. We know what's coming. And every time he lined up in a single back set, it was a fucking dumb handoff or that stupid counter that he used to bust hard. But now he's hesitant with it. And
he was always a threat for the long, like to take a 3-yard run and make it 50 yards. You don't get that from him anymore. And, I heard someone kind of defending him saying, well, everyone in the stadium knows when he's getting the ball and they're stacking the line. Well, who else do they do that against? Yeah. Derrick Henry. So Derrick Henry got 2,000 yards. I'm not saying Zeke Elliott should have 2,000 yards, but I don't buy that excuse. A solid back will somehow make lemonade out of lemons.
Especially when you're starting quarterback. I mean, I know teams are stacking the box against them. I know, but Andy Dalton can still throw the ball a little bit. So, I mean, they were respecting the passing game a little bit when some of these quarterbacks were in there. And I mean, the Cowboys sure as hell were throwing the ball. They're not scared to. But like you said, those little screen passes, the little hitches out of the backfield that he used to just attack people with, he doesn't do it with anymore. And, watching highlights, you can't really get that full feel for it. But today was the first time I actually watched an entire game of theirs. It was very tough to do, but I made it through all 4 quarters and just really, really terrible running back. So
he regressed at least this year. We'll see what next year brings for him, and then Dallas will have some decisions to make there too. And my last go, he's a guy I like, even though he plays on a division rival's team. Kind of a quiet, does it the right way type of guy. Probably his last game in Cincinnati. And when I saw his box, when I saw his stat line, I said, "Oh, maybe he got hurt." Kind of a shitty way to end his career in Cincinnati. And then I did some research, and he didn't get hurt. He played the whole game, had 0 catches, 0 yards, and what may be his last performance wearing the stripes of the Bengals, and that's AJ Green. He's makes big money, big money contract, and either it's up or the team has an option, and they're rumored they're not going to re-up as they go younger with T. Higgins and other guys. So, for a great player for that franchise, it was kind of if it is the end for him there, not the way you kind of want to go out.
Their leading receiver had 21 yards on 1 catch. Their player with the highest catch total was 2 for 15, and that was someone named Drew fucking Sample. Who the fuck are you? I haven't even seen cards of you. Jesus Christ. Like,
probably an unparalleled.
Yeah. He'll be an unparalleled because he caught 2 balls in week 17, but that'd be about it. But yeah, AJ Green, no catches.
And I hate to give him a goat on maybe his last game there, but man, I mean, I know maybe emotions running high, but is that how, I'm thinking, man, if this is my last game here, I want to play better than that. I don't, maybe we should give Zach Taylor that for maybe not throwing him, getting in his way more, giving him a couple carries.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't even really appear in the box score. But you know what? He did have 6 targets and no catches. So,
ouch. That's what I was about to ask, how many targets he had.
Yeah, 6 with no catches. So I don't know what happened today. I didn't watch the game. Yeah. So I'm only basing this on reading the recap and the box score itself and the backstory with it being his most likely last game as one of the best receivers in Bengals history. And not the way you want to end that Bengals career, but there it is. And so those are my 3 game ball or 3 goats, 2 veterans and a rookie.
Yeah. Well, you had 2 of mine with Zeke and Tua. I agree with you on both of those. I already mentioned Zeke. I spoke on Tua a little bit earlier. I just think it was too early to play Tua. I think there was no reason to. It was just dumb. But do what you do, Miami. But my 3rd GOAT today was he showed up in the end in the 4th quarter, but he did not show up for the first 3 in a game that he honestly didn't need to play in. But if you're gonna suit up, play. And that's Russell Wilson, an MVP candidate to start the year. But plays today, I mean, he ends up with an okay stat line at 20 for 36, 181 yards and 2 touchdowns. But like I said, he showed up in the 4th quarter, sure. But for 3 quarters, you sat there and did nothing. This team has done that for weeks. If this had been one game and that's it, and they're rolling through people, I don't put him on this list. But today, when they brought him out there to play this game today, for me, it said, okay, they really need to get this offense going. And okay, maybe the 4th quarter, maybe that's exactly what they need. But I don't know. You play this dumb game where you let teams sit around and fuck with you all day. All right, do that for 2 weeks and see if you are playing in 3. Because I guarantee you won't be.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, man. The last 4 or 5 weeks, he faded and became sort of average quarterback. He went from leading the MVP race to not even mentioned anymore. And so I don't know what it reminded me of, and he's way too young to be in that discussion. But the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen this kind of stuff from Drew Brees. The last 4 or 5 games, they just kind of almost become invisible or average quarterback guy. Drew Brees has done that. The last 2 or 3 years. That's what that looked like to me, Russell Wilson. I don't believe that's the case. I'm just saying it looked like he's too young to be talked about in that fashion. But it had shades of that. So I don't know if he's tired. I don't know if maybe there's an injury there they're not really disclosing, and they're just kind of in-house keeping it hush-hush. I don't know, but he looks different. He's not playing well, and their defense is actually starting to play. Their defense is winning them these games late when it was the other way around in the front half of the year. So they look like a team that could come out of the NFC or be right there at the end, to looking like a team that probably may lose, if not the first game, definitely most likely the second game, based on the matchup. And so, to me, they hope that his performance opened to, I was kind of burying Tampa Bay. I had to unbury Tampa Bay now,
exactly,
and put Seattle in that plot. So how the tides have turned.
No, I completely agree with you. It's a very weird time, and they just—I don't know. Like Todd said, if you catch that game in the fourth quarter, and if you don't have doubts on the Seahawks, then maybe he does get your game ball. But if you watch those first three quarters, I don't know. He's got to be a GOAT to me, and it's just a disappointment because when I saw them trot him out there, I thought, okay, they're going to really amp this team up. They want to get these guys going, feeling good, and then it was just nothing.
Yeah, and again, I know we're giving him for today's performance only, but he's kind of been quiet the last last part of the year. So maybe we just kind of culminate it with the last week GOAT, But listen, we both know he's a guy that can get red hot and
big time,
carry a team on his back. So we're not saying we think Seattle's got quarterback problems. We're just saying right now the way he's playing won't get it done in the second season.
And it was disappointing for me because the question I'm about to ask you, I had to take him out of my answer. And that's, sticking with game balls and GOATs and that the regular season's wrapped up. Who are your MVPs for the year? And, for a long time, Russell Wilson would have been high on this list for me.
Yeah.
But the last month, I've taken him complete. I look at my list now, he's complete. He's not on it. He's not on it at all.
I think it's probably three guys, honestly. It's either Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, or Derrick Henry. Yep. I know they don't like giving the award to running backs, but Derrick Henry had a season of the ages. And, when you look at – we talked about this already. I'm going to sound like a broken – but when you look at what Derrick Henry's done this year stat-wise, when they're stacking the box – like if he did that against a normal alignment of defenses, that's a crazy great year, right? But then when you factor in, like, people are stacking the box, they're calling splitzes with the purpose of stopping him, and he's still, it's video game-esque. It's like Tecmo Bowl, which you play Bo Jackson and you break 10 tackles and score. He's the equivalent of that, and
it's even more impressive, dude, with him. Like, okay, the Titans also first team with two different running backs to do this because they had Chris Johnson do it too. Back when Chris Johnson did it, they were trying to go after him too, but they didn't have film on him yet. It was his rookie year. Derrick Henry, you got all the fucking film in the world on this dude. You know exactly what Derrick Henry's going to do to you. You just still can't stop it.
He arguably had an MVP season last year, so there's no secret. It's not like it's this, and he topped last year by being better this year against more defenses designed to literally have Ryan Tannehill beat you. Like, that's, if you're in that defensive room, they're probably just saying, listen, we're going to stack the box. We're going to, we're not going to shut down Derrick Henry, but we're going to contain him, and Ryan Tannehill's going to have to beat us. And even with that game plan and mindset, Derrick Henry's still beating people and having monster career, like Trivial Pursuit question type year. To do that, like under those circumstances, it's hard not to give it to him. I think Aaron Rodgers' year is insane. 40. I think he is going to get it. 40. I think he's at 47 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Josh Allen, if it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers the year he had, he'd probably get it too. Someone might say he's young. He's going to be in these conversations for years to come.
Right there.
I'm going to say I think it's going to be Aaron Rodgers first and Derrick Henry second, and then a very close third Josh Allen.
You absolutely nailed my top three. I was a little worried you were going to put Allen up at 2, but the thing you said right there, they're going to look at it. If you put both of those quarterbacks up on the list, I think you've got to vote Derrick Henry above one of them, at least. And so I think if you break it down to those as your final three, I look at it and I kind of say the same thing, even though I hate the dude. And it's, Aaron Rodgers probably had some years where he deserved it and didn't get it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of voters are going to think about that and they're going to say, okay, well, if I'm breaking a tiebreaker, I'm going to give it to this dude. And so I honestly think that's what's going to happen.
I think you're going to get that, Drew, and then you're going to have that other side of the aisle that says, I don't like Aaron Rodgers. He's a curmudgeon. He had a great year, but screw him. I'm going to give it to Derrick Henry. We never give it to running back. So that's why I think Derrick Henry finishes second. I think that he's going to get some – make no mistake about it. Derrick Henry is going to have multiple first place votes.
If he doesn't, it's a bunch of bullshit because to do 2,000 yards, even in today's NFL, even if you have an insane passing attack, is still – almost absurd with the throwing numbers nowadays, amount of passing plays to running plays. Like, it's just not there. So like we've said over and over again, I mean, the dude's putting up Madden number. I mean, he's playing it on easy every single week, it seems like, but he's playing against excellent defenses that are just designed to do nothing but stop him. But yet they still can't. You can push those wide receivers out wide, keep your safeties in the middle, keep one safety down low to spy him, and you've got that team figured out. Yeah. Well, maybe. You still got to tackle. So
just amazing. So that's how I think it'll go. Rodgers, Henry, Allen, and Allen's not that he had a third place. He could win the MVP, but I think people are gonna just say, he's a young kid. He's gonna be in these MVP discussions probably for the next 10 years. We're not giving it to him yet. And so it's gonna be Rodgers or Henry. And I think Henry's gonna kind of break that trend. He's gonna get some first place votes and make this sort of deservedly. And make it it's gonna be interesting. I think there's an outside chance if there's enough Aaron Rodgers hate. There's Henry has a dark horse chance. But I think it's going to be Rodgers, Henry, Allen.
Yeah, me too. I'd like to see. I would love to see a running back get it. I'd love to start to see this not be a all quarterback award, but I don't know what they'd have to do it. Because if 2,000 yards isn't going to do it for a running back, then they're never going to get the damn award until someone gets 22 or 2,300. Like if you don't give it to them for going over 2,000, when do you say, okay, yeah, that's impressive?
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. If Henry don't win it this year, it's going to be hard pressed for a running back ever to win it. And if it happens again, it's going to have to be a year where there's some not a big time quarterback performance, where the running back is just the easy standout, and we have to give it to this running back because even the best quarterback this year wasn't tremendous. He was just very good. And typically that doesn't happen. You always have three quarterbacks that just have monster years. So like you said, if Henry don't get it this year, probably who knows if and when it'll ever actually happen.
No, I completely agree with you. All right. Well, before we wrap up today's show, and guys, please call in if there's anything you would like to discuss or break down, any questions or comments that you had from today's game. But, John, we got the playoffs starting this weekend. So with most of the games set here, I know there's a couple of seeding slots to be determined with this ridiculously stupid football game that's on TV today. But for the most part, they're pretty much figured out. So looking at the playoffs and everything, who are some of your favorites going into next weekend?
Man, I'll just pick a couple from each conference, and I'm going to be very honest about it. I'm not going to be a homer, but you look at the AFC, I think it's really – I know a lot of people are on the Baltimore bandwagon now. I don't see it. I think Lamar Jackson has a bad game left in him. I'm not going to put him. I think it's Buffalo and Kansas City. I'd love to say Pittsburgh, man, but they've become one-dimensional does not get you playoff wins, it might get you one against a not great early team, but it's not going to get you the second one. And so I'm going to go Buffalo, Kansas City. I know Ravens fans are like, hey, but I think, Lamar Jackson, I know he's played good late, but he hasn't, to me, had a great year.
To me, that whole offense hasn't been good all year. Like that team does not. That team last year was intimidating. Like you didn't know what to expect. Like there was still that little level of mystery where you're like, okay, well, I kind of want to stop them this way because if I don't, what are they going to do over here? Well, this year
they're sort of like the Steelers, just the other way around.
Yes,
where the Steelers can just pass the ball and not run it.
Yep,
it's almost like the Ravens can run it, and Lamar's hit or miss with the accuracy. And so I think they're going to run into somebody and have that kind of stinker game, much like they did last year. So I think Buffalo KC is going to be the AFC representative. Yeah. I'm going to lean with the incumbent. Kansas City, been there, done that. It's hard to bet against Mahomes when it really counts. So I'll go there. In the NFC, if you asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have named 4 or 5 teams. It probably could still do that. I think the NFC is more wide open, quite frankly. I think you can make a case for 4 or 5 teams.
Yes.
The way Tampa Bay's playing right now, as much as I don't want to see Brady back in the Super Bowl.
They are clicking.
They are starting to click. They've gotten better. Here's the other thing, Drew. They've gotten better each week. If you look at the season, and they just get better each week, and guess what? The playoffs are another week, and if they win that game, it's another week. If they continue getting better each week, that doesn't bode well for anyone.
I agree. But they did have one significant setback today, which I want to touch on, because it just sucks for the dude. But yes, Mike Evans. He passes a ridiculous milestone of being the first wide receiver with 1,000 yards in his first 7 years straight in the league. Like, that's absurd. And then gets hurt on the very next play. In a non-contact, and it looks pretty damn serious. At least it looked like it. I don't know if they've come out and said what it is yet. I hadn't seen a report when we came on, but it looks pretty bad. Tampa, I still love though. I mean, you've got Gronk, you've got Goodwin, you've got Antonio Brown. Apparently, simpler minds version of Antonio Brown doing a decent job today. We'll see. And I like them in the NFC, dude.
Yeah, they got a few running backs too. They're not necessarily a running team, but you got Fournette. Ronald Jones really had a great year after being rumored to not know the playbook and maybe having a short NFL career. Going into the cards realm, people were putting his stuff in the bargain boxes. They're scrambling to yank him back out of those things, and so. They got a stable of backs. They got a great wide receiver core, and they got Tom Brady who's learning the offense each week and look better and better. And so they'll be one of my 2 picks. I'd like to say the Saints, but I don't know. They always. Every time the Saints, and this is almost every year in the last 4 or 5 years, every time they're the favorite, they get upended and beat by a supposedly lesser team. Breeze is not any younger as this keeps happening, and so I'm not really picking them. I know they've not played great late, but I'm gonna say the Rams. I think it's gonna be the Rams. I think it's going to be the Rams or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I'm hoping it's the Rams.
Yeah,
I don't want to see Tom Brady again in the Super Bowl.
I don't want to see the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. I could give a shit about Tom Brady. I just don't want to see any division rivals in the damn Super Bowl. But I'd have to give them probably my favorite. Green Bay. I mean, I don't know. As good as Aaron Rodgers has played.
I don't mean to cut you off. I kind of forgot about Green Bay.
Yeah, you can.
I don't know. they're kind of like the Saints. They always have that game that they get tripped up, and you're like, man, they just lost to that team.
I think the NFC, I mean, you kind of just broke it down. I think the AFC is a little more structured. I don't think you're going to see as many upsets or quote unquote, upsets as you want to call it by seeding. But the NFC, dude, outside of the top couple of teams, I mean, I look at it even in the Rams, I didn't even have on my list. I forgot about them. So thank you for having them on yours. But yeah,
with the Packers, that's crazy because the Packers are the number one seed. Exactly. I'll expand my NFC to 3 teams. I know that's sort of I'm kind of cheap breaking my own rule too, but I'll put the the Packers and the Bucks on the one line as co-1s, and the Rams at 1A or 2, however you want to do that. Yeah. But it's probably easier to talk about in the NFC, Drew. Teams that aren't going to be there. The Bears and whoever wins this
game. Yeah, Jesus. I'd go on and move my GOAT back over to Jalen Hurts because, bro, you're playing Washington. This is the third fucking quarter, and you don't have 100 yards passing. Dude.
Washington, and you got if you're Philly, you're playing with house money. You're not in the playoffs. You're trying to see if you're trying to see if Hurts is the guy that you can get rid of Wentz or move on from Wentz. Like take the take the handcuffs off, and let
can't be feeling good about that today right now. Especially with the reports out that Wentz isn't coming back. Wentz is gone. There is no way he comes back to that football.
I'm reading, you nailed it too again, Drew. I'm reading some reports. Sort of a really good guy, but I'm hearing he's not being a good soldier in the locker room, and kind of has made his feelings known that this is the way it's going to be. He wants out. I've even heard what we've talked about on this very show weeks ago, that he may be willing to renegotiate the current deal to get out. And so he has I said this on the show. If anyone has the personality to take less money because they want to change the scenery, it's right up kind of the Carson Wentz playbook,
And that's why I say, dude, you could see it this offseason with Carson Wentz. I think any of these teams in the playoffs we're talking about that have somewhat of a quarterback question, chasing after this kid, which is why I think New England, which you mentioned, is a good fit. I still think he ends up replacing Drew Brees in New Orleans, which I kind of hope not, being a Panther fan, but we'll see. But I think that if he's willing to restructure, if he's willing to make it easy, and the Eagles are willing to make it easy too, because remember, they're trading it. The Eagles can make this a fucking painful process. Like, they can make him sit there and wait until September if they want to.
Here's the thing: if Hurts is their guy, they don't want to drag this out. They don't want a distraction, and so they'll facilitate that. Listen, they don't want to be paying Wentz what he's making. No. So they're not going to get. Listen, the bottom line is two folks are not going to get as much as they think they're going to get. Wentz is going to have to renegotiate his deal to a lesser value, and the Redskins are probably going to get a 4th, 5th round, maybe later round pick, because whoever's trading for him is going to say, listen, we got to pay this guy, even if we renegotiate.
We can wait a month. We can wait a month, and 5 more guys might be free.
Yeah, and so they're not going to get a high draft pick for him. Maybe they can finagle a player in the deal with the pick, but that's the best they're going to hope to do. The Eagles have no leverage. If they're hitching their wagon to Hurts, someone's going to come in there and say, hey, keep Wentz in his $25 million on your books. If we're going to take that problem off your hands, we're not giving you a 2nd-round pick to do that.
Right.
You should be giving us picks with Wentz for taking that money off the book. So we're going to get, maybe if they're lucky, depending on if a team really wants to bet up, maybe they can finagle a 3rd-round pick. But that I don't see that. I think they're looking at a 4th to 7th And
the one wild card here, and I will say this, the one wild card here is if John Gruden likes any of these upcoming possible free agents or these guys that could possibly be moved, he will throw the farm at them. He will throw every single asset that the Raiders have to get the quarterback that he likes. And so if I could get inside John Gruden's head and know who his upcoming quarterback to pick would be, then I could give you a little better answer on some of these. But I think John Gruden is going to come in and disrupt this offseason.
Yeah.
Because he's not paying Derek Carr $20 million, which he's got to do, or he's got to move on. So
and here's what the Raiders do have: quite a few draft picks. So if anyone might give a plethora of picks, it's the Raiders can afford.
Yeah. Gruden's going to screw this offseason up, I promise you. Gruden's going to do something.
He's the modern day Mike Ditka. Remember when Mike Ditka basically traded the whole draft for Ricky Williams?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, fuck. I mean, he's got to eventually. I mean, Gruden, he didn't want to overextend his first couple of years there. They wanted to make that transition smooth. They didn't want a new quarterback coming into Vegas. They thought would be packed stadiums, which ended up being empty, of course. But they wanted that guy. But now it gets to the point where, okay, you've been here a couple of years. Like, now you've got to find your guy, because if it does take 2 years to get him in, okay, well, now you're 4 or 5 years in. Your contract's
Gruden's hot. I don't want to say he's on the hot seat.
No.
Getting a little warm. His seat's getting a little warm. And if Al Davis Jr. or Mark Davis, I should say, is anything like his dad, he's going to be very impatient and make a move. And so we'll see. Their last few drafts have been sort of questionable at best. And so you got Mike Mayock that may be, also seat getting warm. And, I guess it depends how patient Mark Davis wants to be. But this offseason is going to be, if you're a Raiders fan or you're John Gruden, crucial offseason to turn the corner or not turn the corner on what that franchise is going and whether you're there for the long term.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I really think that John Gruden's going to come in and just throw this offseason a really big swerve and I think it's going to come right as everybody starts giving you their list of exactly where everyone's going to go. You start to see everything trickle out, and then John Gruden's going to screw it all up. It's what John Gruden does, and I fully expect him to be in the market this year when so many different quarterbacks, like we've said, and we haven't even talked about dudes coming into the draft. Just the actual starters and backups and the people in backup roles that are tired of it, that are moving on, is insane.
And Andy Dalton. Yes. Andy Dalton might be starting somewhere. He's actually played pretty good. I believe his deal in Dallas is just 1 year. If they have Dak again, he may say, hey, I auditioned for a starting role. I'm going somewhere else to get it. And so, I tell you, the offseason, man, we could do 3 hours of this if we just talked about that. We can do a special just on where quarterbacks are going, who's going, and
which we may have to do, because there's going to be a lot of news coming up this offseason. It's going to be a wild ride. Real quick, do you want to give Curtis Samuel to the 1,000-yard club? Congrats, Curtis. The only bright spot in a lost Carolina Panther season, but we will take it. But I guess, John, we'll wrap up this week's episode. Guys, we've got Rough in the Pass coming next Sunday, of course. We'll give you our playoff picks. The game starts Saturday, so we'll give them to you guys probably Thursday evening or so.
Yeah, we'll have to decide if we're going with just winners or point spreads too. So
we'll probably do both. We'll do. Right. We'll go with both of them we'll do the spread and the over-under for the playoffs. We'll make it fun.
Yeah. So we'll have almost like two. Listen, I gotta try. Listen, I got smoked in the regular season pick, so I gotta save face, man. It was an embarrassing performance by this guy, and it was very Cam Newton-esque.
Well,
one
that's
week I
mediocre.
show a little something, and then it'd be like 3 weeks in a row, like shit the bed. So
yeah. Well, y'all, thanks as always for tuning in and joining the show. Please tune in next week. And as always, if you got any questions, comments, or anything, give us a call and let us know. But if not, then Mr. Newman, I'll see you next week, buddy.
yeah, it's second season time.
Time.
Yeah.
Dropping the passer calls.